Yo, I am back. And I did not stop making daily videos. Well, technically, I did stop making them daily, but these one shot videos don't stop. Just new schedule Sunday, Monday, and Friday. So, but yeah, no, got some good news, you know, this week or today, I guess. Anyway, shout out to the Daily Caller. The House GOP looks to set 9.4 billion in DoGE cuts in stone. Now, 9.4 billion is really, in the grand scheme of things, it ain't shit. Now, if somebody gave me $9.4 billion, it would create fucking generational wealth for me and my family that would carry on for eternity. But in the grand scheme of American spending, 9.4 billion really isn't shit. But Elon spent 3 months working really hard on this, and what cuts he was able to make, they should be set in stone. They should not, as soon as he leaves the DoGE office, they instantly fucking just come straight back. You know what I mean? Like, no, these should be permanent cuts. And then if DoGE, the organization, carries on even without Elon, um, any cuts they make need to also be permanent. But let's carry on. Let's actually read the article, shall we? Now, hopefully, the GOP in the House actually comes through on this. Speaker Mike Johnson suggested Wednesday that the next agenda item on House Republicans' calendar should be passing legislation aimed at slashing more government spending. Johnson said Wednesday that House Republicans are eager to codify cuts congressionally appropriated funding made by President Donald Trump's Department of Government Efficiency following the House's passage of the president's one big, beautiful bill on May 22nd. Now, I feel like saying they're eager to codify these cuts is, yeah, I don't believe they're eager to do it. This is the government we're talking about. They're never eager to pass spending cuts. I would hope that they are, but I don't buy it. I think they're going to, or at least I want them to, and I think there's probably a good chance that they will because they know, this is something that the people do want. They want, like one of the things that Trump won on was the promise of a Department of Government Efficiency, and they need to deliver on that. And what good is Trump founding this Department of Government Efficiency if if Congress, the ones who control the purse strings, are just going to ignore everything they do, and just kind of hand wave it all away? There's no point in that. The White House will send a 9.4 billion recessions package to Congress to codify some of DOGE's work as early as next Tuesday, a spokesperson for the White House Office of Management and Budget told the Daily Caller's News Foundation. The recessions package will include 1.1 billion in cuts to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Fuck that place. Which partially funds the National Public Radio, NPR, and the Public Broadcasting Service, PBS. Like, yeah, those are useless. Nobody fucking NPR's left wing shit. It's not, right wingers, Republicans, libertarians. Their taxes are taken and used to subsidize NPR, and then NPR turns around and only does, lefty Democrat shit. In addition to a 8.3 billion spending reduction to foreign aid agencies, including the U.S. Agency for International Development (USAID). Though the cuts represent a small amount of discretionary spending, GOP lawmakers have sharply criticized these programs, alleging they have recklessly spent taxpayer money and propagated left-wing ideology. Both of those things are true. USAID is basically just a big money laundering scheme. And, well, yeah, PBS and NPR is just left-wing propaganda. Axios was the first to report the White House's plan to transmit the recession package to Congress. Both chambers of Congress can pass the recession package by a simple majority vote, allowing GOP lawmakers to effectively bypass Democratic opposition. Once the White House sends the DOGE cuts to the House and Senate, lawmakers will have 45 days to vote on clawing back the funding. Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune will need virtually every Republican to get behind the recession effort due to both conferences' slim majorities. Quote, the House is eager and ready to act on DoGE's findings so we can deliver even more cuts to big government that President Trump wants and the American people demand, the House Speaker wrote on X Wednesday morning. And I'm really hoping that Johnson comes through on this, that he can wrangle the House Democrats, Jesus Christ, the House Republicans to, kind of fall in line and vote on this. And then hopefully Thune can do the same thing in the Senate. Like, my confidence isn't super high, but I'm hopeful. Johnson argued that House Republicans' passage of the president's sweeping tax and spending package builds on DOGE's work to eliminate wasteful spending. The bill notably attaches more than $1.6 trillion decrease in mandatory spending over a 10-year period, in part by reforming Medicaid and food assistance programs. The House drafted bill notably bars. Jesus Christ, Daily Caller, come on. Editing, modern day articles. Editing, you guys need to do better. A lot fucking better. This is why nobody reads articles anymore. It's one of the reasons. Anyway, the House drafted bill notably bars 1.4 million illegal immigrants from receiving Medicaid coverage at the state level and implements work requirements that require certain able-bodied childless adults to work or volunteer 20 hours a week in order to enroll in the program. Good. Based. Codifying the DOGE cuts, on the other hand, would reduce discretionary spending, which Congress votes on every year through the appropriations process. Johnson said House Republicans will swiftly implement Trump's budget request for the fiscal year 2026 process, which also outlined more than $160 billion in cuts to discretionary spending. Yes, $160 billion. That's better. That's the kind of money that we're actually looking for. When you're talking about 1.6 trillion, 160 billion, that's 10%. That's good. If we can actually get those kind of cuts in place, that's good. That's a good first step. Musk, who recently announced a step back from overseeing DOGE, has conversely suggested that the deficit increases in the president's landmark bill far outweigh the floated spending cuts and will add to the national debt over a 10-year window. Quote, I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the deficit, not just decreases it. And undermines the work that the DOGE team is doing, Musk told CBS News in an interview that is slated to air in full on Sunday. Both Trump administration officials and congressional proponents of the president's legislation have panned this view, arguing that a combination of economic growth generated by the bill's tax cut provisions and undoing Biden-era regulations will shrink budget deficits. We shall see. Elon Musk still seems to have a lot of libertarian leanings, and that's a pretty common libertarian complaint about the big, beautiful bill. Republican Georgia Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has championed clawing back funding through her purview on a DOGE-focused House Oversight panel, said Wednesday that the initial recession package should be one of many that House Republicans ultimately pass. Quote, personally, I want to pass DOGE cuts every single week until the bloated, out-of-control government is reined back in, Greene wrote on X. As a country, we cannot survive our national debt, and honestly, we may be past the point of return. We should be aggressively attacking our debt and aggressively cutting all waste, fraud, and abuse and unnecessary programs. I agree, MTG. Our future literally is in peril, Greene added. Editor's note, this story has been updated to reflect the confirmation from the White House Office of Management and Budget. Oh, well, interesting. So, yeah, no, it's like I said, this is good news. It's not the sweeping spending cuts we're looking for. This isn't Ron Paul level spending cuts, but, it's a step in the right direction. Generally speaking, the federal government moves slowly. If we can get these cuts in place, then we can make more cuts, and we just gotta have to do it in steps. Which, it could be worse. This all could be worse. Could be a lot better, but it could be worse. I'm for it. we'll see what happens. Libertarians need to quit whining. Um, the big beautiful bill, like yes, uh, like even if it adds to the deficit, it's not like going to be this huge addition to that. And then again, it's like the down at the bottom. As long as the tax cuts and deregulation goes into place, then it could generate it generates revenue, which will attack the debt. And then there are other methods we can use to attack debt. It's the big beautiful bill is one thing, which wasn't designed to attack debt. It was designed to lower taxes and kick people off of kick illegals, not just people, kick illegals off Medicaid, among other things. You could do two things at the same time. You can attack the debt and lower taxes, and get illegals off Medicaid, and all these things can be done at once. But no, like I said, I'm here for it. I think this is good news. We need to see more of this. Hopefully, this is the start of a trend, and we'll see what happens. But anyway, be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and like the video, and sub to the channel, and follow my links to sub to all my alt channels. And be sure to check out my Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I stream video games over on Rumble on the Clown World Gaming channel. And then on Saturday mornings from 8 a.m. until usually about 10:30, I host my podcast, Clown World Chronicles, which is, again, we live stream it to Rumble, and then the VOD goes live on BitChute and then YouTube after that. So if you can't watch live, by all means, watch it, on one of those other two platforms, or come to Rumble later that day and watch it. Whatever, figure it out. But yeah, do all the algorithm stuff for me. Throw me a bone.